The great Australian dream will remain out of reach for many Australians for at least a decade, according to a new study by the University of Canberra and AMP. They found the median house price jumped by nearly 150% between 2001 and 2011 to nearly $420,000. And the annual after-tax income needed to buy a house has jumped from nearly 5 times annual income in 2001 to more than 7 times now. Also in the report, houses are 50% larger than they were 25 years ago. 10 years ago, more than 50% of all suburbs in the 5 major capital cities were affordable, but today only 4% are. And Australia has one of the least affordable housing markets in the world, second only to Hong Kong. Ben Phillips from the National Centre for Social and Economic Modelling at the University of Canberra is the report's lead author, and he joins us now. So, Ben Phillips, you find that house prices in Australia are now severely unaffordable. That's a phrase you use. So which cities are most expensive and which are the cheapest?
Well, the most expensive or the most unaffordable, as we've shown in the report, is the usual suspects, of course, Sydney and Melbourne. A really surprising result, though, was that Adelaide actually came in as the third most unaffordable capital city across the country. And the reason for this is they have quite low incomes and reasonably high house prices, although not as expensive as Sydney and Melbourne. I guess in a really surprising result, though, we found that a lot of regional centres or regional cities, often working-class cities, are actually now just as unaffordable as Sydney. So Wollongong came in as our 4th most expensive city in the report, actually edging Sydney as being slightly more unaffordable. So a very surprising result, though. We actually only managed to find a couple of cities that were affordable, and that was Albury-Wodonga and the Latrobe Valley in Victoria. So very hard to find affordable regions across the country.
And how do your figures equate with claims that house prices are actually going off the boil in some areas?
Yes, we have seen over the past 6 months or 12 months that house prices have come back 1% or 2%, depending on which city you're looking at. But we're really looking at a need for house prices to drop around 30% for them to become affordable. So 2% really is just nudging at the edges. We've still got a very long way to go.
As a consequence of high house prices, getting on the property ladder is now virtually impossible. And once you do have a home, most of your mortgage seems to be going, most of your pay seems to be going towards the mortgage. What did you find about that?
Yeah, so really it's a story of the housing haves and the housing have-nots. So those who got into the market, say, early last decade or before, as many people have, they're the housing haves. They've had great increases in prices in their own house price, and they've got a fairly small mortgage now, or most of them do. It's the housing have-nots who are the concerns, though, and they are the renters of Australia, or those who are struggling with a new mortgage, say first-home buyers, and they're facing very high repayments as a consequence of getting into the top of the market.
And it's going to be another 10 years before things start to cool down.
Yeah, so we looked at just a very simple scenario of house prices remaining flat for the next 10 years and incomes continuing to increase as they have done in the past. And we show here that it will take about 10 years for housing to become affordable. And it's actually more likely that house prices will probably continue to rise, although at a very limited rate compared to previous times. So perhaps it will be even longer than 10 years before housing becomes affordable. So it's a fairly dire story there for those trying to get into the market.
Ben Phillips, thank you.
Thank you, Ros.